Hello, you are listening to the OmniTalk Fast 5, brought to you in partnership with the A&M Consumer and Retail Group, Firework, Trigo, Sezzle, and Silk. All right, let's go to headline number 3. So Instacart is rolling out Scan and Pay with Foodcellar out of Long Island. According to Chain Store Age, Foodcellar Market is the first retailer to fully deploy Instacart's Scan and Pay technology, which is part of the grocery technology provider's Connected Stores platform in the Foodcellar stores. To get started, Foodcellar Market customers, they walk in, they see a giant sign with a QR code at the front of the store. They open the Scan and Pay opportunity on their mobile browser so they can add items to their basket as they shop. When they're done, customers can check out from anywhere in the store directly from their phone and show a QR code as they leave to confirm their payment. It should also be noted that Foodcellar Market was also an early testing hub for Caper Carts before Instacart later acquired the company. Chris, This is one of the first public things that I've seen about Scan and Pay being used.
No, the article says it's the first one. First deployment.
There's 2 Foodcellar stores in New York.
2?
2.
Total?
2 total that I was able to find. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong on that.
Yeah.
But what are your thoughts on this announcement?
I could not be more skeptical of this announcement.
Sure.
And there's a few reasons. Number one is timing. I find it very odd that this announcement comes immediately after the week where Instacart publicly said it's winding down its in-store picking services for retailers that want to do like their own curbside pickup and buy online, pick up in store. So that's interesting to me, which always makes me go, But second is, like you alluded to.
That was a 90s song, too. Things that make you go,
Yeah. All right. But the second piece is what you said. Like, the grocer itself, nothing came of the Caper Cart, at all.
That we're aware of.
Where is that in this conversation, right? Which the article alludes to. And so here you have the grocer, which is 2 stores, which was one of the early testers of the Caper Cart, jumping in the pool again. That seems really dubious to me as the first announcement here. I wouldn't be hanging my hat on this as my first announcement for that reason. But you have some experience on this because you talked to Foodcellar back in the day when we were out in New York trying to see the cart.
Yeah.
And that experience was pretty unique. I think you got to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, we were going out to NRF and I was trying to, when Caper Cart first was released, we were trying to figure out a way to go and actually see one and test it for ourselves in the stores. And I called several locations. I think there was 3 grocers that were supposedly testing the Caper Cart, Foodcellar being one of them. And I called the store hey, do you have these Caper Carts? So I'm interested in checking them out. And passed along to one person to eventually a store manager who was like, yeah, I don't even know what is going on. I think we have one. I don't know if it's in this store or not. And, to his credit, probably had a million other things on his mind that he was not caring about me.
Which is important.
Right. But yeah, I mean, so whether or not this is the crazy headline driving news that it's made out to be is, I think you're right to be skeptical. But, Foodcellar has been on the full Instacart train. They've been using everything since 2016, one of the earliest adopters. I just worry, though, that this could be the nail in the coffin of this partnership with the Scan and Go deployment, because the only thing that is changing about this experience is the ability to allow for Scan and Go or Scan and Pay. And there's no, we look at what happened at Wegmans here and the theft that was happening when Wegmans shut down. And I think that this could be, I think Foodcellar with only 2 locations, this is a really small retailer. And to see what's going to happen, if people are going to walk out with stuff, if they're going to, what's all really going to happen and take place here. And if this doesn't pay off, as an executive at Foodcellar, I'm is this still worth it? How much are we paying for Instacart? Is it really really giving us any return here?
Right. It's a great point, because if Instacart, if you can't make it work in this environment, it ain't going to work anywhere, because it's a very complicated thing. Ultimately, at the end of the day, you have to have integration with your point of sale. You have to get the customers acclimated. You have to be making sure you're cognizant of theft and how that's happening. We had Shop Premon talking about all the steps they go to do that. So if this doesn't work, or if they suddenly go away from it, or word gets out, then stay on this, people in New York, because we're curious. If they suddenly shut it down, that's pretty damn telling. But I think this is gonna be a lot harder than they think too.
And Instacart, is this business going to be driven on a retailer with 2 locations? Like, how is this profitable for Instacart? I don't understand. Like, how many Foodcellar markets do you have to have around the country?
Although that's not, I mean, when you're just on a first deployment, I think that makes sense. I mean, that's how everyone
for sure.
I
guess
things.
I'm looking more of it as like Foodcellar's been on this platform since 2016. Like, you need a lot of food sellers to make the Instacart connected stores platform work, and I just don't know that there's enough out there, and I don't know that the amount of work it's going to take for Instacart to gather all of those retailers is going to make it worth the investment.
Yeah, it's great. And it's a big pivot for Instacart. I mean, we talked about this on a show probably 6 months ago. Like, when you start pivoting to the small and medium-sized grocers, totally different operation that you're talking about here. Very different than what it takes to service, like Kroger, who they had a long-standing relationship with.
And they can't hang on to Scan and Go. If they start having crazy amounts of theft, they're not going to be able to hang on to the Scan and Pay. Like, they're a small retailer. They can't. It's not Amazon.
No, 100%.